Every creative knows how to collect money, but very few know how to build money. Now, there's a difference. One payment can make you feel successful for a week. A system can change your life for decades. Hi everyone, welcome to the Vibe Lab. I'm your host for the day, FemiKnows. Now, if you're a creative, this is the conversation between where you are and where you're supposed to be. So let's get into it. Now, let me guess. You think getting paid is the goal, right? Like you post the work, someone likes it enough to pay you, money comes in, and that feels like success. That feels like you figured something out. And I get it. I understand why it feels that way. Because for most of us, getting that first check as a creative, it felt like proof. Proof that the talent is real. That this can be a career. That you didn't make the wrong choice. But there's just one problem. Getting paid and building income are not the same thing. And confusing the two is one of the most expensive mistakes a creative can make. Today, we're talking about how creatives actually make money, not just how they get paid. Now, I want you to picture something. Imagine you have a bucket. Every morning, you go to the tap and you fill it up. And by evening, the bucket is empty again. So the next morning, you go back to the tap, fill it up, come home, empty by night. You do this every single day. You're always busy. You're never without water, but you're also never ahead. And one day someone asks you, why don't you just fix the hole? And you look down and you realize you've been so focused on the refilling that you never stopped to notice there's a leak. Now that's most creative careers. You're not lazy. You're not untalented. You're just refilling a leaking bucket every single day. You're taking gigs, you're delivering work, you're collecting payments, and you're wondering why, with all this activity, you're still starting from zero every month. The problem is not the effort. It's the structure or the lack of it. Now, before we talk about what works, let's be honest about what doesn't. Or more accurately, what looks like it's working, but is not. Now, I call this the 4 income illusions. And I bet at least 2 of them are running in your career right now. Now, illusion 1, the one-time payment. Now, you do a project, you get paid, you move to the next project, you get paid. It feels like income because money is coming in. But here's the question. What happens if you stop working for 30 or 60 days? Now, for most creatives, the honest answer is nothing comes in. Now, that's not income. That's labor exchange. You trade time for money. And the moment the time stops, obviously the money stops with it. There's no residual, no continuation, no asset. A payment is a transaction. Income is a system that pays you, including when you're not actively working. Now, illusion number 2, the exposure deal. Now, this one has ended more creative careers quietly than any other illusion on this list. We can't pay you right now, but the visibility you get from this is worth more than money. You've heard it. You may have accepted it. And in the moment, it doesn't feel wrong because exposure is real and credibility does open doors. But exposure without a conversion strategy is just noise. Visibility that doesn't lead to ownership, equity, or a trackable income pathway is charity work. And the only person who doesn't know that is you, my friend. The brand that asks for your work in exchange for exposure, the budget for it, trust me, they just prefer not to spend the budget on you. Now, exposure is a currency that only pays if you know how to convert it. Without a conversion plan, you're working for free with extra steps. Now, illusion number 3. Viral content equals wealth. This one is particularly dangerous right now in the era of short-term content and the algorithm culture. A video hits, let's say, 1 million views, 5 million, thereabouts. The comments are going crazy. Your followers count jumps. Your DMs fill up. And for a moment, it feels like you've arrived. But here's the question nobody asks in that moment. How much of that moment do you own? Because the platform owns the distribution. The algorithm decided who saw it. The attention was borrowed. It was not built. And unless that moment is connected to something you own, like a product, a community, a catalog, a course, it evaporates. Virality is weather. It's real. It happens. And it can change everything. But you cannot build a business on weather. Now, going viral is an event. Building wealth is a process. Events don't replace processes. Trust me. Now, illusion number 4. Freelancing is not the problem. Freelance dependency. Freelancing as a permanent ceiling is the problem. Now, there's a version of freelancing that is strategic, where you take clients' work to fund your own projects, you build your skill, create breathing room for ownership. And there's a version most creatives are actually living, where the clients become the plan, where the next booking is a business model, where the pipeline is full, but the foundation is empty. Freelancing is a tool. It becomes a trap the moment it stops funding something bigger than itself. So if freelancing is not built towards something you own, it's just a job with irregular pay and no benefits. Alright, so we've named the illusions. Now let's talk about the alternative, because I'm not here to depress you, trust me. I'm here to reorient you. A real creative income system is not complicated, but it does require you to think in a sequence that most creatives skip entirely. This is the sequence: ownership, leverage, royalties, systems. Now let me walk you through each one of them. Ownership. Now everything starts here. If you don't own what you create, you cannot build on it. It's as simple as that. Ownership means your name is on the copyright. Your contract protects your rights. Your creative output, the music, the content, the design, the code, the photography is an asset that belongs to you, not a deliverable that belongs to whoever paid for it. Now, most creatives have been giving away ownership their entire careers and calling it client work. The shift begins the moment you decide that what you create has long-term value, and you structure your agreement to reflect that. The second one is leverage. Ownership without leverage is just storage. Leverage is what happens when you take the thing you own and you make it work in more than one place for more than one purpose, generating more than one stream of value without you having to create it again from the scratch. A song is one asset. It can be licensed for film, streamed on platforms, used in a brand campaign. It can be sampled by another artist and taught in a course. One creative output, multiple activations. Now that's leverage. A photographer's best images are one asset. They can be printed and sold, licensed for editorial use, turned into a premium preset pack, used to anchor a workshop. One shoot, many lives. Now leverage is how you stop refilling the bucket and start fixing the hole. The third one is royalties. Now, royalties are what happens when leverage becomes recurring. You create something once, it earns every time someone uses it, streams it, licenses it, buys it. You're not there. You're not working. The asset is. This is not reserved for superstars. A photographer, for example, who registers their images with a stock library, they earn royalties. A writer who licenses their articles earn royalties. A musician who properly registers their publishing earns royalties. A course creator earns royalties on every sale. The question is not whether your work qualifies, it's whether you've structured it to earn. And lastly, we'll talk about systems. And this is where everything comes together. A system is a repeatable process that generates income without requiring your direct involvement every single time. Now, it might be an email list that sells your course every week, a licensing arrangement that pays quarterly, or a membership community that renews monthly, a catalog that earns passively while you build the next thing. Systems are not passive in the sense that they build themselves. You build them. But once they are built, they run. That's the difference between a career that exhausts you and one that compounds. Here's one line I need you to take away from this episode, right? You don't scale income, you scale systems. If your income is dependent entirely on your output, your hours, your energy, your availability, then your income has a ceiling, and that ceiling is you. Now, scaling means removing yourself as the bottleneck. It means the earning continues when you rest, when you're sick, when you're creating the next thing, when you take a holiday you actually deserve, you're still making money. But that only happens when the system is built. And the system only gets built when you stop treating every payment as the destination and start treating it as the foundation. So let me bring this home, right? The most talented creatives I know are not always the wealthiest. Facts, just facts. And the wealthiest creatives I know are not always the most talented. Now, the difference is almost never ability. It's architecture. The ones who build, who own, leverage, structure, and systemize are the ones who look up 5 years from now and realize that career is working for them. Well, the ones who don't, they're still refilling the bucket. The earning is not the hard part. the structuring is. And that gap between knowing how to earn and knowing how to structure your earnings, how to protect what you own. Now that's exactly what Build Lab is designed to close. Now let me talk about Build Lab for a minute. Build Lab is Critico's practical learning hub where creatives don't just learn skills, they learn how to build sustainable careers and businesses around those skills. Now at the Build Lab, we teach three things: the craft, the business, and the law. The craft helps you create, the business helps you monetize, and the law helps you protect what you create. So whether you're a musician, a designer, a filmmaker, writer, entrepreneur, Build Lab equips you with the knowledge to develop your talent, structure your business, understand contracts, protect your intellectual property, generate revenue, and build something that lasts. Because great talent without business knowledge struggles to grow, obviously. And great talent without legal protection is very vulnerable. Now, Build Lab exists to close that gap. So if you've not registered for the Build Lab, Cohort 1 is starting very, very soon. Very, very soon. Follow Critical, the Build Lab on Instagram, all social media platforms, and make sure you sign up for the first cohort. If this episode made you rethink how you move as a creative, then you're already ahead of most people in the industry. But thinking is not enough. Structure is the next step. So we'll see you on the next episode of the Vibe Lab. Make sure you stay locked in. We'll see you on the next one. And don't forget to follow Critical on all social media platforms and sign up for the Build Lab. See you on the next one. Bye.